Right, welcome to the 9th episode of Spilling the Tea podcast. This week we have a giant from the East Midlands joining us. This guy's played in the BMW Championships, the PGA Cup, and is now currently out in Cyprus prepping for the PGA Playoffs as we speak. He runs the college program that I went to at Morley Hayes in Derbyshire, and is just really an all-round legend. Firstly, Jimmy, thank you for joining us whilst you're prepping out in Cyprus. Could you start with just letting us know your background in golf, how it all started for you?
Yeah, cool. Thank you, George, for it was a very kind welcome. I started playing golf, got a first set of golf clubs when I was 11 years old for my birthday. Junior golf was perhaps not how it is now. So it was kind of juniors didn't really play golf that early. So it was a big thing to sort of have a set of golf clubs. And my mum had some golf lessons bought her by my dad. She had 3 lessons, didn't have the time, didn't really like it. And then I had the last 3 lessons as the old traditional 6 for 5, it must have been then. So I had the last 3 lessons and kind of just got the bug. One of my best friends at school, Stuart Clare, who's now a pro, kind of started playing. And just started getting into it. I didn't have my first handicap until I was 13. Which was 23. And then I turned pro 6 years later. So within 6 years, I've kind of gone from 23 handicap to +3, I think I got to at one point before I turned pro. And that was kind of how I got into it. Did my PGA year later. So I kind of always wanted to play. But at the same time, I probably knew that I don't know how good I was. My dad was always, look, go and do your PGA training. You've got something to fall back on. So I kind of got into coaching at 19, really, when I first turned pro. Started my PGA training, I think 20. I used to help with the juniors at where I was, Bredsall Priory at the time. And then started my PGA training when I was 20, fully qualified at 23. Yeah. And kind of it's gone on from there, really.
And you've continued throughout that time, you've always continued playing a bit, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's just born into me. It really is. It's kind of that competitive edge in me. I really struggle to play social golf, where I've got better at that over the years. But for me, it's either if we're going out, what we're playing for kind of thing. So I think that's always driven me playing wise. And I probably feel like I've built a reputation as a coach around my playing and used that as good publicity, etc. It doesn't mean I have been a great coach. But definitely it's allowed me to get in the sort of the press and stuff and get my name out there, which has helped me grow a business to where I am now at 41.
Yeah. Oh, getting old now, Jimmy. Getting old.
I know. I feel it today.
Should we start with talking about the college that you're now running? So EMGA Performance College?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously when you came on it, Nigel Furnace ran it as Performance Golf.
Yep.
So that was 2008 was the first year. So at that time, I'm sort of 25, 26, working with 16 to 19-year-olds. So the purpose of it was 16, you finish your GCSEs, people that are perhaps aspiring to have a career in golf, Derby College to do a BTEC in sports coaching, and to then push on with their golf 2-3 days a week. We had loads of students come through the program from 2008. A lot of success stories. Obviously, you being one of them. But going back as early as like Dean Hibbert, that works alongside me now at EMGA, was the first intake at 16.
Oh, really? So, I didn't even know he was on it.
Yeah, so Dean was the first year, so 2008. And I look back, I mean, I felt I still was a kid at the time, really. And you're helping out, you're trying to inspire the students, sort of 16, 17-year-old students.
Yeah.
So that progressed. And we've come across many challenges, myself and Nigel. And I think I did that I was going to be working with elite golfers, and their sole purpose was just to get better at golf. Now, as it progressed, you realise you do so much more as just working on golf swings. It's pastoral care, making sure that they're okay. Do you know what? At 16, 17, boys and girls that we've had have got a lot going on. a lot going on, trying to find their place within their peer groups as well as society, and trying to work out what their purpose is a little bit. So the golf almost became secondary to what you are helping. And I think outside pros looking in would go, God, yeah, but they've just gone and shot 85. What are you doing on that academy? Like, you don't get it unless you're on it, and you're working on that day to day. And I think some of the stuff, and you probably can relate to what I'm going to say now, is that some of the stuff that we did doesn't actually sink in and really appreciate the benefit to maybe your 20, 21, 22, even probably 24, 25. And we've had students that have even come to us and asked for a training diary that we used to use at 16, 17 when they're 25, because they realise the importance of sort of planning and evaluating their days, structure. 16, it's almost too young, but I think you have to plant the seeds at that age for it to work. So that developed, and then Nigel, obviously COVID hit, and that was quite a difficult time because we had students on it. We tried to do stuff online. Students came back. I think it hit everyone hard in different ways. And Nigel and I were very much, we both had come. We've been doing it since 2008. This was now 2021. Nigel decided it was time for him to finish, and I was going to finish really. And then there was a couple of students that were enrolled for the September, and I was like, you know what, let's give this a go. And my mum was like, look, you can't let these students down that are enrolled. What can you put on? So obviously that's where I bought it in-house under East Midlands Golf Academy, and EMJ Performance grew, and we had 4 students that first year. It was interesting having just four students, how you could spend that a bit more time with them and get to know them. Then we had 8 the following year, and we've had, I'll be upfront, the intake's been quite poor. Obviously, it's a paid service. There's no funding from Derby College to put the golf coaching on, so parents are having to fund it themselves. And obviously, there's a cost of living crisis there, and it's difficult, but we're going to try and keep it going in some way, whether that's doing sort of one day a week with them, because I do believe there's a lot to give and help. And I was kind of thinking about this when you asked me, sort of told me what questions we're going to look at. And I would say the biggest things that we work on are structure. Forget golf swings, structure, inspiring them, just inspiring these students. So I got stuck into the students the other week a little bit in chat and said, look, you're leaving here in May. I'm not going to be writing a schedule for you come June. You're going to have to start to do this yourself. You're going to start to have to sort of structure your own practice, evaluate it. And I think actually that conversation with them struck a chord to go, do you know what? We're going into the big bad world soon. And it's important that we do have a structure.
I remember whenever we got pulled into the room across the car park with you solely, it was going to be one of those chats where it's like, you lot just need to buck your ideas up here a little bit and just get something sorted out. Because it was always, if we're going with Nigel, it was all like nicey, and then we're going with you, and you was like, look, this is what's going to happen. I'm trying to help you, but seriously, you guys need to understand that this is what's going to happen in a few years' time. And lo and behold, it does happen. Whatley's always right.
I think I would say I've softened my approach a little bit. I also think society, the students that come through now are different. I'm not saying they're softer in any way. I think it's just a different society. Social media's had a massive part in that. So I've probably definitely softened my approach to it to get players on board. I suppose
you've got to be both sides of it now, haven't you? Because you haven't got Nigel being that approach. You have to take both personalities almost, don't you?
100%. So yeah, there is the Nige part of me that is sort of your mate.
Come on.
Nige is an absolutely amazing guy, and I've got a lot to, hopefully he watches this, and I've got a lot to thank him for, and as you will.
I have to thank him for,
and he bought the program together, and he got the lads on side, I suppose, bad cop and good cop. But would I go back and do anything differently? Probably with certain individuals. Where you realise you probably were never going to make a swing change. You probably needed to go a different route.
Yeah.
Sort of what do they say? Sort of square peg in round holes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't mind saying that, because I think as a coach, you always have to evaluate and say, what could you do differently? Could I have done that? And everyone's on a journey. Coaches are as well. We don't know it all, and any coach that says they do know it all, is wrong.
Yeah.
And so again, basically, from what we've done on the college program, when I took it on, my sort of line was inspiring the next generation, and I think that's what it is. It's inspiring that next generation. And if we were to look at how many students have gone on to do the PGA training, Nigel set it out to try and develop a program that was produce European Tour players.
Yeah,
it never went on to that, but we have produced a lot into probably over 30 students on the PGA program.
yeah.
And when you look back,
And
that's
a lot of them
amazing.
are highly talented. I don't put myself in that category, but a lot of them are highly talented, winning. I mean, especially around East Midlands, you've got a lot of competition from the guys that you made good.
Yeah, absolutely. So especially Derbyshire, and obviously I mentioned Dean earlier.
Yeah.
About Dean's a great player. We also got Will Painter that came through the program, and obviously worked for us at EMGA. He's gone on to be head pro now at Ormond, which is again credit to Will. He's really pushed on. Will Davidson, he's now working with us.
Yeah.
So I've had sort of 3 students. Liv Kelly came and worked with us for a little short time before she's moved on to sort of different things within the travel industry.
Yep.
So you could keep naming them. How many pros that are coming through what we do, and that's why I'm keen to really try and keep it alive in some way. So we'll see how that goes going forward. But I am passionate about just helping. And it was interesting when we pulled together the video for Nigel when he retired. We got something like 40 videos of ex-students to do a video. I know it brought a tear to Nigel's eyes just watching it, of actually the lives that you've touched and people that are willing to take time out of the day to do a couple of minute video. To do that. So yeah, it makes it. There's been times where it's been testing, and you go home at night as a coach and go, God, I just hit my head against a brick wall there today. But as I get older, you reflect and realize how important that sort of process has been for everybody.
Yeah. What do you so when you're saying you want to inspire sort of the next generation, what do you think the keys are in that area? What do you feel like your 2-3 things that you do that would help inspire that generation, or that set of next golfers coming through?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing I've realised is everyone's different.
Yeah,
everyone's different, so you can't say, right, these are the set rules. I suppose I really try and get them to have structure. I hear too many. Inspire them to take control of their golf. They've got to love it though, George. That's what I would say. They've got to love it. And I'm a bit of a stickler for things like, if you want to play a tournament, like I ask them, what are you playing in? Let's say we're in May, and I say, what's your next tournament? I don't know. Oh, what do you mean you don't know?
Yeah.
I don't know what my mum's entered me into, kind of thing, or my dad's entered me into. And my sort of job is, or I try to inspire them to take it by the balls, kind of thing, and take control of their golf. Because if they love it, that's what they've got to do.
Yeah.
So I would say that's the biggest thing. You've got to own it. You've got to want it yourself. And if you don't, maybe it's not for them.
Yeah.
I know that sounds quite harsh, but if they don't love it, they won't. And I've seen that. The ones that do love it, go on.
Yeah. I mean, I obviously would name names, but even in my year group, I would definitely clash with people that didn't love it as much as perhaps I did. And, it depends on when and where and what they wanted to practice. And some guys, when we have the free practice time, might sit back, but then you'd have 3 or 4 of you that would go and grind something out. But you would always have those little clashes between the guys that, and you could tell, right? You could tell the guys that where you think, oh, these guys are going to stick this out, whether they make it big time or not, or the guys that were not practicing as much as you feel they should do in that period of time where they got that free practice time. Which is interesting. Yeah, that's where you find out when you give when you give people free practice time, you then find out who's actually wanting to get better or who actually loves the game compared to, okay, who's just here for the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's there's no one shoe fits all really with this. So definitely what we're trying to get over to a young golfer coming through would be structure.
Yeah.
Structure. It's not just about swing, short game, physical stuff. It's actually the technical side is the smallest bit.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, I think once you can hit it and you can get to a certain level, great, and you've got to keep developing that. But it becomes about the mental side, routines, processes. Just do the right things. There's a lot of talk about the 1%. How many 1% can you just kind of keep improving on?
Yeah.
Try and have fun doing it. Try and have some fun doing it, and understand that you are going to have bad days. I think that is massive. If you can understand that you're going to have a bad day, and we all still do now on the golf course, but can you evaluate that day? What could you have done better?
Yeah.
And they're not going to perfect it. And I think for what I've been there on that program is now so much just let's sit down and chat, have someone to chat to.
Yeah.
Chat it through. How did you feel? Well, okay, great. Let's look at how could you do that different. I suppose that's when we had Brian Hemmings on board. Brian gave that sort of sounding board.
To be fair, I don't think you, Nigel or Steve at the time would have given yourselves as much credit as you should done, especially within myself. Like obviously when I come there, it probably wasn't the best time in my life, but got through 2 years totally away from home with being able to be in front of you guys, shout if I needed to, cry if I needed to, have a laugh if I needed to, because all three and Brian, when he come in, were all there to be. You could go to you for something, Nigel for something, Steve for something, whatever you needed a little bit of, you could go to.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm sure you don't mind me saying. I remember that first Friday when you've played on the golf course, got quite a high number. Steve and I talk about it now.
97. I
97
on that day because I walked it back in the clubhouse. Someone asked me what a shot, 97, and they absolutely tore me a new one. And I'd never forget that day in my life.
97. I remember being at the top of the range with Steve, and you're like, I can't do this. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of so for you to stand where you are now or sit where you are now, and you as a PGA qualified professional, mate, it's a testament to you. And like you say, if we've been a positive influence on that journey, it's that's what the program is about, and helping people. So when I leave, it sounds a bit corny and a bit deep, but when I leave this planet, if you can have inspired a few people on your way, do you know what? That's and you want to do the same with you. Now you're as a coach and things like that.
Yeah, 100%.
That's an amazing thing to do, really.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Right. We're going to go into you personally now. I want to know what it was like playing in the BMW Championships.
So when I qualified, it was through the PGA Playoffs back in 2012, and it was different then. The PGA, we used to get 10 spots a year, so top 10 in the playoffs would get PGA Cup. BMW PGA Championship.
Yeah.
I finished tied sixth, I think in Turkey. So I got that. And I'd always said I wanted to sit in my rocking chair when I was older. I always say this to my mate, Stu Clare. I want to sit in my rocking chair and play one tour event. That was my goal. And I used to go and watch the BMW. It was the Volvo PGA Championship at the time at Wentworth.
Yeah.
With my dad. I went 3 years running, saw Colin Montgomery win. I think all 3 years. And I always wanted to play Wentworth, and he always said, "I'm not paying for you to Wentworth. You'll have to qualify to play around there." And I suppose that was always my sort of drive.
Yeah.
So what was it like? Yeah, I mean, I ripped my first tee shot, but I played that tee shot in my head going to sleep for about 3 months before. Yeah. I think I topped it a few times in my dreams and etc. But by the end of those 3 months, I'd like ripped it every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. It was an amazing experience. The weather was rubbish for me. Really cold, wet. I'm not the longest of hitters in comparison to obviously out on tour. The golf course just played so long. I think I hit either 3-wood or rescue into like 7 par 4s over the 2 days.
Yeah, hard.
So obviously there's a lot of pressure on your short game. Yeah, I remember I was chatting with Andy, who I was sort of with this week of the playoffs, just about that. And what would you do differently? And I remember being on the putting green on the Monday for about 90 minutes, watching David Howe putt, and I was just putting, but kept looking at him because I was like, just loved his putting style. It's kind of similar to what I was doing, just watching him putt. And I look back now, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I was actually should have just gone on and done my stuff. I had a practice round Monday. I played about 33 holes on the Tuesday.
Yeah.
By like Wednesday, you couldn't play because it was Pro-Am day. But by Wednesday night, I was knackered.
Yeah.
So when I teed it up Thursday, I was absolutely cream crackered, really.
Yeah.
So I think it was a great experience, but I then didn't play great the rest of the year. It was almost like I got my goal of playing a tour event, and did I get lazy a little bit? Probably the next year and a half.
Yeah.
And it was interesting that I had a bad year after playing PGA Cup as well. 2008 was probably my worst year. And again, I think you take a lot of stuff changed. I was getting married, a lot of stuff changed, and you probably took your foot off the off the gas. So I think I achieved goal what I've realised when I've achieved goals, I've then perhaps not reset.
Yeah.
And got that motivation to sort of get stuck at it again.
Yeah.
So Wentworth was a great thing to do. It kind of it knocked me back a little bit.
Do you think because it was obviously maybe it was put on a pedestal, and because it was this 4-day tour event, or you were there from Monday, your systems and structures weren't the same as if it was a PGA event or a Euro Pro or because it's this full week of golf.
Yeah,
you just didn't really know how to structure a week.
100%. And I think if I did it again and I was lucky enough to play it, I'd probably turn up Tuesday.
Yeah.
And go and play 18 holes on Tuesday. And I don't have to do anything. Or go and play somewhere else on the Wednesday and go and play Thursday. Because Pro-Am, you got to remember, I teach, and I rock up at a Pro-Am after doing 4 hours coaching in the morning, get my clubs out of the car and go and shoot 3-4 under.
Yeah.
And now I'm doing something totally different.
Yeah.
And so I think, yeah, you can't go from being a club pro to being a tour pro and flick a switch. I think that'd be what I learned from that.
Yeah.
It's like this week, I know we said we'll chat about the playoffs. This week, I've had 2 practice rounds for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm knackered. I was knackered today. I had some jet lag because I was on holiday last week, but I resisted going to hit golf balls this afternoon.
Yeah.
I probably could have done with going to hit some, but I was tired. And in the past, I would have gone and practiced and probably got frustrated.
Yeah. 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 I think well, you've that's where, like, I've always looked at you as an elite performer, and that's where maybe you've learned from PGA Champs is listening to your body, instead of going, no, I need to keep hitting balls. This is what I need to do to play well this week.
Yeah, just understanding your patterns. What do you do? Don't go too far away from that. But again, it's all that. It is a journey that you're going on and evaluating. And I think that's what you've got to do. Go back to that question about what we tell younger pros. Keep doing it. Keep making mistakes. But be strong enough to say, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Right, what will I do? Because next time I'm in that situation, I won't do that. I'll do it differently. So yeah, BMW was a great thing to say I've done.
Yeah.
And I think I probably learned more from that. I think you can learn, as they say, you can learn more from your failures. At the end of the day, it was I suppose a failure. I shot 79, 77, finished about 5th from last in the field. I played with the guy called JB Hansen, who's out on tour.
Yeah.
He shot 79, 79, hit it off the planet everywhere. And a month later, he finished 2nd to Phil Mickelson in the Scottish Open. I'm like, how he could not keep it on the planet.
Yeah.
And he finished 2nd to Mickelson in the Scottish Open. Won something like 250 grand. But Wentworth wasn't his course. It's a tight golf course, and he kind of hit it a long way, but sort of a bit offline at the time. So yeah, that was it's good. It's good to chat about it and realise the lessons that I have learned from it.
Yeah. And so obviously the BMW was after the PGA Cup, but how do those 2 events differ? Obviously, PGA Cup is basically like the Ryder Cup for PGA pros. But what's the week structure like? How's it different to BMW?
It's all laid on for you, the PGA Cup. You get, when I played it, I'm sure it's the same now, you get looked after like a king, really. All your clothes, you're told what clothes you're wearing from like practice. We had 3 practice days. Obviously trying some different pairings out. Everything's literally laid on for you. Right, you're wearing this suit on Tuesday night for this dinner. Yeah, you literally, it's so structured. Yeah, a completely different week, I would say. Almost no pressure on you. I didn't feel overly loads of pressure. I was young. I was 20. I think at the time I was probably the youngest PGA Cup player.
Oh wow!
And it was I played the club pros at Porth Court. I'd only just qualified. Didn't even know what the PGA Cup was. I'd kind of heard about it, but didn't. And pegged it up last round, lying 22nd, shot 4 under, and just about to go off in my car to drive home. Someone said, "Your best day, and you might get PGA Cup." And I was like, "What's this?" So it was an amazing experience. Amazing. I would love to have that experience again. My family, my mum and dad came out. My now wife's family came out, and sister. It was a real family feel.
Yeah.
I did quite nicely in the 4-balls and foursomes, but singles, I was like a deer in the headlights. I played with Paul Wesleyan in the foursomes and 4-balls, who's experienced that. He played that at the time. It was his 4th consecutive PGA Cup, and it was just like having your dad with you, putting his arm around you. He kind of knew. He just gave me that free wheel to just go and make as many birdies as I could, but hit the singles, and I'm now like, shit, really, kind of like, what do I do now? And I struggled with that a little bit. And again, but that's experience. That I hadn't been in that many experience. And I was playing rubbish, to be honest, before I qualified for the PGA Cup. I generally was.
Yeah.
It's kind of in between coaches. And I had a lesson with Steve. Steve had literally only just come into my life working with me at Morley. I didn't really know him. He'd been with us for about 2 months, and I was like, "Steve, mate, will you just have a look at me?" I just missed the cut in a Midland Order of Merit event at the time. Squeezed through a cut in Euro Pro, but didn't know what I was doing. Again, trying to play golf swing, really. And it's a good one. It's a good story to tell, that we stood there at Morley on a Sunday. It's like, "Man, I can't keep it on the planet." Just hitting snap hook after snap hook. And he was like, "Hit me a fade." And I hit this fade, and it like drew 5 yards. He's like, "No, come on, hit me a fade." I was like, "I am." And he was like, "How can you?" I said, "The only way I can really hit a fade is try and swing it like Colin Montgomery.
Yeah.
Like pick it outside, hold it off, really high finish." And he was like, "Just do that again." And he videoed it, and I'm like hitting all the right positions, trying to swing it like Monty. So off I went to Royal Porth Court on the Monday, having no confidence, but thinking I'm going to go swing it like Colin Montgomery. And it just shows you that it's daft, but my mindset was more about a mood, not even a technique, or just trying to be someone else, and almost not mannerism so much, but shot 3 under first day, and I kind of like, that felt really nice. Felt like I could hit it hard, and and sort of, to say, the rest was history kind of thing. It was a band-aid. It was putting plasters on me, golf swing wise, but it worked.
Yeah.
And I carried on using that swing thought for the sort of the rest of the year. But that's how I got PGA Cup, trying to swing it like Monty.
He's crazy. He's crazy. Oh, I bet Steve loves bringing that one back up and all.
Yeah,
I've got him on next week, so I'm gonna question him if he remembers that time or not. I'll see if he takes the glory for it.
Sure, he will.
So now you're obviously you're running East Midlands Golf Academy. You've got the college stuff on the side of it. You're obviously playing some events. You coach as well. How do you continue to perform as well as you do when you're doing all these bits and bobs and going to watch Forest, which they will lose tonight, letting you know?
That's a good question. I get asked that question quite a lot. I'd say there's a few things. I would say that my own coaching I have a lot of systems. I'm a massive believer in routines. I have a system. I have positions for my pitching, so I don't necessarily need to go and hit hundreds of pitches for feel. I've got sort of 7 positions to pitch it, from anything from 30 through to 120 yards in different clubs. Big into my routines, and that's the sort of the thing that sticks everything together for me. One thing I did nearly 4 years ago was get a world handicap.
Yeah.
So I've got an EG England Golf World Handicap. What that's done for me is, so my boy, I got 2 sons who are 14 and 12 now. When we go out as a family, my wife as well, Rachel, they'll all do a score, like a supplementary score, or I will. At least when I go out, I've got, like we're going back to earlier, I wasn't very good to play social golf, and I would just kind of walk up to it. When I was playing with the kids, I realised my routines went out the window. So I was out playing golf, but I wasn't really getting better.
Yeah.
So by accident, really, I didn't do it for that reason. I just thought I fancied a handicap. But what it gave me, every time I went socially, I'd do a 9-hole card or an 18-hole card. So I put all my competitions into the England Golf. I put any social golf in. So I now feel when I'm playing social, it feels more competitive. And when I play competitive golf, it feels more social. So there's somewhere in the middle. So when I'm playing competitive golf now, it doesn't feel so serious, if that makes sense. And then when I'm playing social golf, it doesn't feel like I'm just out having a laugh. It feels there's a focus to it. So that's massively helped. If I'd encourage any young club pro that wants to keep playing, but he's worried, that would be the one thing to do. There's a few people that do it and they only put their good scores in. I put absolutely everything in, and I put them in if abroad as well. You can send them back to the club and you can put all of it. So that's the one thing. And when I do a lot of golf holidays, so I'm away through the winter, sort of doing probably 3 or 4 up to 5 trips a year through the winter, and I play golf every day. So making a living, making some income through my golf trips, but I'm playing golf as well.
I think what you've just said there isn't just for any club pro; it's for everyone. Because, like you say, if you put in an EG round socially, and then you're going and playing the weekend medal, and you have to put it into EG, you're still doing the same things. It's bringing them both into that middle environment.
100%. I mean, obviously, if you were to pass this on to a +2 handicapper, there's massive restrictions on now what they can do with supplementaries, because obviously players have been fiddling the system to try and get into events by playing with their mates, not putting supplementaries in if they've started one, if they're not paid well, they've not put it in. So it is there to be abused. I think from a professional's point of view, that the handicap's irrelevant. I think it's an amazing thing. But like, if you're a club golfer that's just playing the medal, whether it's a 7 handicapper or a 20 handicapper, do it. There's too much gimme golf, isn't there? I see the gimme golf, and then gimme golf in the week, the tee up at a weekend for the amateurs, and they've got the yips. Whereas if you just got used to holing out all the time, it would make a difference.
Yeah,
it's just what golf is, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you still only hit 30 balls when you do get time to practice?
If that,
that was your one big thing when we was at college. That was your one big thing. 30 balls, all I need.
Just the less balls I hit, the better I play. The more balls I'll hit. There's a time where you perhaps sometimes need to go and hit golf balls. Like, it's like lifting weights in the gym. Sometimes you've just got to go and get your speeds up and hit quite a few balls. Hit balls in the net at home, just to get speeds up, just to keep sort of golf moving, really. But I'm not. It's a dangerous place for me to go and hit a lot of golf balls. Trying to think. I'm trying to swing it like Tiger, and I just start playing around with stuff. So it's a dangerous place for me to be. I'm someone that, again, I've learned over the years. I've hit balls when I was 17, 18, 19, first term pro, where my hands have bled with blisters, and I've stood there 400-500 balls. And I suppose you've got to think that those reps have put me in good stead down the line. I am someone that could go and practice, and if I hit 10 balls and I think that I've got that feeling, I'll just walk away. I'm not a big practicer now, but I do more short game, and when I do practice. So Graham Walker, who I've worked with since I was 17, has just bought a skills test app out. So when you practice, massive believer in practicing with a purpose, almost practicing with a scorecard in your pocket.
Yep.
So if you go and hit 3 putts, there's on the app, there's 3 putts, and you can put whether you've holed, missed, or whatever, and it'll give you strokes gained against tour pros. So again, if you're measuring it, you can manage it. So I think I would encourage anybody when they practice to less balls but better quality.
Yeah. I think it's starting to be something in the industry where a lot more skill stuff is being included in practice. It's just not whacking balls, trying to change this, trying to change that. It's actually getting the skills of golf down a little bit more. I think it's slowly starting to change.
Yes, definitely.
Right. You're obviously out in Cyprus at the moment at the PGA Playoffs. Firstly, what are the PGA Playoffs? How do you get there? And then we'll talk about how you've prepped so far and go from there.
Yeah.
How do you get PGA Playoffs? What are they?
Yes, the PGA Playoffs are. It used to be an end of season finale kind of thing, where obviously they've moved it now to the sort of beginning of the next season. But the top 3 players in the order of merits in the 7 regions, so Scotland, North, South, Midlands, Ireland, Southwest, East. So you get 21 guys, and then plus the top 2 from the British Club Pros and the top assistant from the national assistants. So you get 24 golfers competing. Like I said, when I played Wentworth, it was top 10 in the playoffs. Top 10 in the playoffs from 24 got Wentworth. It's changed now. So top 1 will get the BMW, the Irish, European. Again, don't quote me on it.
There's like 3 starts or something like that, isn't there? I think
3 starts on tour, maybe 2 challenge tour starts, and then the second place gets British. That's it. They get British Masters in the if you win as well. Second gets British Masters, and then a couple of challenge tour starts, and that's it. So obviously, I'm not going to sit here and slate that, because it's just the way golf's going, and the tour have took spots off the PGA. We're still fortunate enough to have the opportunity to play even one top 2. Top 3 this year get PGA Cup as well. So going back when I qualified, it was all done on the Club Pros. So top 10 in an order of merit over the 2 years of the Club Pros. Now they do it where the top 3 in the PGA Playoffs every other year get PGA Cup. And then there's a wild card pick, and then there's 6 come off an order of merit from the Club Pros. So yeah, PGA Cup's up for grab this week. So really, unless you're finishing top 3 this week, you go home sort of empty-handed as it is. Really, there's a bit of prize money to be won as well. So yeah, no, you got to be in it to win it. And I wasn't meant to be here this week. It was because the event was end of April, and last year I missed out. I qualified for it last year, but it clashed with one of my coaching trips, and I moved my coaching trip a week later this year. The PGA moved their playoffs a week later, and it clashed again. I was like, oh God, I'm not meant to play it.
Yeah.
But then there was the change of date from the PGA due to a clash of PGA exams, and they've moved it to this week. So yeah, I'm here. We were away on holiday last week as a family, so my preparation, there's nothing I can do about that. I was booked over a year ago, so it was literally came off the plane Sunday night and flew Monday morning to Cyprus, jet lagged.
Yeah. So what have you done since you've been there?
So practiced Tuesday morning and played Tuesday afternoon. Enjoyed the golf course, and then we've played early today, Wednesday. Didn't hit it great, if I'm honest, today, but realised I was super tired.
Yeah.
It really caught with me. We're way sort of on the west side, so I was last week. So time difference in Cyprus to there is 6 hours. So I was up at 6:30 this morning, which is 12:30 over that side, America side, and I was just played this morning, and I didn't play great. I was just completely goosed. So yeah, But so I've had a nap and I've done a little bit of workout this afternoon just to try and kind of wake me up, and I do feel a lot better. And looking forward to teeing up actually tomorrow. I've done sort of course. I've gone through my course planner tonight, pin placements in, put a few no-go zones on the planner just to remind me. Yeah, looking forward to giving it a go really tomorrow. And my golf's improved over the last couple of years by having more of a laid-back mindset, being so busy at work with different avenues that I need to remember that when I go and tee it up tomorrow and keep that mindset. I think it's keeping that mindset of, do you know what? It's not the end of the world here. There's a lot of guys here that are playing full-time. For me, it's a little bit of anything's a bonus, really. So I just need to keep that mindset, really, when I'm playing.
Yeah. Right. So although you've already chucked some really good stuff out there, any more advice that you would give for young golfers looking to become pros? Obviously, structure is a big one. Have you got anything outside of that?
Find a coach that you trust and stick with them. Now that's really difficult because I've been on a journey. I definitely went on a journey with swing coaches, and I would say, and I probably learned a lot over the years. But you come back to what you know. Trust them, trust your coach, but also don't rely on them. That's what I would say. Don't rely on your coach. When I first started seeing Graham when I was 17, he was almost like, I want to become redundant. I wanted to make you your own coach. And I think I'd say that to a 15 handicapper now. I want you to not rely coming on to me. Come once a month, but I don't want you to be sort of like, you don't want to be the person they blame. They need to own their golf swing. I'd say as a coach, you're a consultant.
Yeah.
They've got to own their game. So for a young amateur or pro trying to make it or get low enough to do the PGA, you've got to own your game. That's what I would say.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think at that age, I mean, I definitely didn't, and I was slightly older than the other guys there, but we didn't. I don't think any of us really owned our games or knew our games well enough back then to know what we know now, and especially like all the times that we had the meetings in the room over the other side or in the like cafe area, every word that was said then sticks with you, but you don't really understand it. And like you say, now you look back 6, 7, and 8, 10 years later, and you go, that is why James said that. That is why Nigel said that. It's knowing the people around you are there to help. They're not saying these things just out of like thin air. They've experienced them themselves. They know what they're talking about.
Totally. But I also know that it's really difficult for a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid, and you don't want to listen. You don't even, it's not that you think you know it all. You just, you doubt, I think you doubt a lot of stuff.
I couldn't explain it why. I mean, I listened, I took it all in, but whether I did it or not was a different question. But I couldn't explain why I didn't do it, which is interesting. And I don't know if anyone could. Could people, if you go back to them and go, do you remember what this said? And you go, yeah. Why didn't you do it? And I don't know what the answer will be.
And I think as much as I say go and stick with a coach, also probably go and, this is going to contradict myself now, don't be afraid to go off and learn a little bit. Too many players when they finish, don't see a coach, they don't finish that relationship well. So if I've ever stopped working with a coach, I've always been up front, look, I'm going to go and get a different opinion. So I've always been in a position where I could go back to see them. And that happened with Graham. I stopped working with Graham in like 2004, went back in 2014, 10 years later, and been working with him again for 10 years. Keep as many relationships open in the industry, because you just never know when you kind of might need them advice or help up the ladder. I mean, it's a topic you could go on to for ages, really.
It really is. Well, we'll end it with a couple of light-hearted questions. Obviously, my team play your team tonight. I think in the cup, isn't it? Is it FA Cup tonight? It is, isn't it?
You are
Yeah.
the perfect Man United fan, aren't you? From down south. I
am
love that.
the Man United fan.
Yeah, that.
What do you reckon the score is going to be tonight?
I think United are going to want revenge a little bit from when we turned you over at Christmas in the league. I can see you winning. I think you'll win. I think you could knock 2 or 3 past us tonight. I do. I might eat my words, but I think United could go and win the FA Cup this year. I do. It's almost the last thing Forest need at the minute is to go on a bit of a cut run. We've been a nightmare because we've gone into extra time. We've had 2 replays, Blackpool and Bristol City. Both have gone to extra time. One's gone to penalties. It's the last thing that Forest need in the position we're in is to go any further. So I suppose part of me actually wants us to get knocked out. I know it's a bit of a cliche thing to say, concentrate on the league. But yeah, it'll be interesting because United, depends what United turn up. They're so inconsistent.
It's like Man United is like watching me play golf.
Mate, Bruno Fernandes, I can't stand him. Like it's just a bad egg, isn't he? I can't believe he's captain.
Yeah, I can't believe he's captain. I can't believe he hasn't got more yellow cards for dissent and all that this year. Crazy. They started throwing off at the start of the season. They stopped doing it, but he should have been sent off a few times from it. Ridiculous. Right, where do you think Forest will end up then in the league? If they get knocked out tonight, where are they going to finish? If they don't get knocked out tonight, where are they going to finish? Got Jim going now.
I'm going to be positive. I think we'll finish like 5th bottom. I think we might get 3 points deducted.
Yeah.
Everton have obviously got 6 confirmed now. So yeah, I think we'll do, and I think we'll push on next year as well. I think it's important. I do. I think it's one of those. It's massive that we stay up this year and push on next year. So you got to back your team. I think we'll stay up.
Yeah. Well, I hope so for your sake, for your mental health, Jimmy. I hope.
Absolutely.
Mate, it's been a pleasure having you on. Appreciate you taking time out of obviously an event this week to talk to whoever's going to watch this. So much appreciated, and I'm sure I'll speak to you soon.
No, mate. Well done. Thanks, George.
Pleasure.